Well, when we're communicating the basic principles of carbohydrate periodization, I guess it's important to take a step right back. And so if you're an athlete, ask yourself, what does my training look like today, tomorrow, and the day after? And so, of course, we all know that you change your duration, you change the intensity of training and so on. And so therefore, from a practical perspective, that then means that the amount of carbohydrate that you need for that session should also change. Now, traditional sport nutrition guidelines, and I'm referring back to the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, was kind of a one-size-fits-all. Consume high carbohydrate all the time, because if you want to perform fast and long and go hard and really optimize the training quality, or it's a race day or a game day, then for sure you need high carbohydrate intakes. But if you have a particular type of training session where perhaps the intensity isn't that high, the duration isn't that long, then it makes sense to fuel for the work required because you don't need as much carbohydrates. And actually, when you deliberately reduce your carbohydrate intake and adjust them for the amount of work that you need to do, then what happens inside the muscle is a whole host of molecular pathways that regulates how our muscle adapts to training. And you switch these pathways on when you restrict carbohydrate. So it's almost like if you increase the stress of the training session by reducing the amount of carbohydrate, then the muscle senses that and adapts faster, and you get a greater training response, even if you've performed the same type of training session. If it's a session that's longer and it's harder and it's all about training quality, then of course you can't underfuel that session because you won't be able to sustain the workload. Hence the term fueling for the work required, which is really adjust your carbohydrate intake day by day, meal by meal, depending on the goals of that particular training session or indeed that particular training block.